Hi, my name is Tr.Juspher. Today I'm going to discuss with you what we call computer hardwares. Now, computer hardwares by definition refers to the tangible or physical components or part of the computer you can feel, see and touch. So any part of the computer you're able to see, feel and touch is what we call computer hardwares. Now, without wasting time, let us go to an example of computer hardwares. The first example is what we call central processing unit. This is fingerprint scanner. This one is what we call computer laptop. Another example of computer hardware, we have compact disc, we have computer monitor, we have iris scanner, we have flash disk, we have game pad, we have printer. So printer is also one of the computer hardware or one of the example of computer hardwares. Another one, we have computer, we have scanner, we have projector, we have mouse, we have speaker, we have touch screen, we have touch. This one is what we call touch pad. So touch pad is also one of the example of computer hardware because you're able to see, feel and touch. We have computer memory, we have memory card, we have hard disk, we have headset. Another example is CCTV camera. Even computer keyboard is one of the example of hardware devices. So we have very many examples of computer hardware. Another one is what we call microphone. We have digital camera, we have modem, we have hard disk. Hard disk is also one of the example of computer hardware because you're able to see, feel and touch. So without wasting time, let us look at what we call the components or categories of computer hardwares. Computer hardwares is divided into 5 broad categories or components according to their functions. Namely, we have the first one, input devices, stroke hardware. The second one being output devices, stroke hardware. The third one, storage devices, stroke hardware. The second last is processing device. Then the last one is what we call communication devices. So seeing there are 5, we shall look at them one by one. So today we shall look at what we call input devices. So input devices refers to any hardware or devices used to feed, stroke, enter data into the computer. So if you feel like you should feed some data or you should enter some data into the computer, you will use what we call input devices, because input devices is just any hardware components of the computer used to enter or to feed data into the computer. Now, let us look at what we call the examples of input devices. One of the examples of input devices we have digital camera, we have gamepad, iris scanner, fingerprint scanner, we have scanner. Even touch screen is also one of the examples of input devices. We have touchpad, we have computer keyboard, we have CCTV camera, we have light pen. Even mouse is one of the examples of input devices. Now, today we are going to discuss one of the computer input devices. Now, one of the computer input devices that we are going to discuss today is what we call computer mouse. Now, computer mouse is any pointing devices which moves cursor on the screen. So what I'm moving is what we call cursor. So the major work of mouse is used to move cursor on the screen. Now, just like human being, we have our left hand side and our right hand side. The left hand side of the mouse is what we call the primary button. And the primary button is mainly used to point and select at and at maybe at any items. Then again, we have what we call the right hand side of the mouse, and the right hand side of the mouse is what we call the secondary button. What is the use of the secondary button? Now, secondary button is mainly used to open menu and command. Then another part of mouse is what we call scroll button. The middle part of the mouse is what we call the scroll button. The scroll button will help you to move from one page to another. Now we shall now go to what we call operation performed by the mouse. Now if you are using mouse, which operation do you think you will perform? Let us now look at the operation. Now one of the operation you can perform by using mouse is what we call pointing. By pointing, you will now take cursor to the folder or to the document you feel like you should open. So this is what I'm doing. I am now pointing at the folder called economics note. At the same time, I am now pointing at the folder called logo. I am also pointing at the folder called senior theory entrepreneurship. So this is one of the operations which can be performed by the use of mouse. Another operation is clicking. So clicking means pressing the primary button once, like this. So if you point at the object and you press once using the primary button, that one becomes the second operation which can be performed by the use of the mouse. Then second operation is what we call right clicking, just like the way I told you earlier, that the left hand side or the right hand side of the mouse is what we call the secondary button, and it is mainly used for opening what we call the file menu. So if I right click, it will give me what we call the file menu. This is what we call the menu or the pop-up menu. So in the pop-up menu, we have scan, we have play with VLC, we have play with KSM. So in order for you to open the file menu, you always use the secondary part, the secondary button of the mouse. You right click. Right clicking means you press on the right hand side of the mouse. So it will now give for you what we call the pop-up menu, where you can select any operation you feel like you should perform on the file. Now, another operation which can be performed by the use of the mouse is what we call double clicking. So double clicking means pressing 2 times using the primary button of the mouse. Remember, if you are going to double click, you should not separate the click. So if you click like 1, then you rest a bit, 2, the computer will interpret in different way. The computer will interpret the 2 clicks as a different click. So if you are going to double click, you press the primary button 2 times, and your click should be very fast. You should not give any space in between your click. You should click very fast, like 1, 2. So it has opened for me the file which is inside the folder. So that is also another operation which can be performed by the use of what we call mouse. Then another operation which can be performed by the use of mouse is what we call dragging. Sometimes they always say drag and drop. So dragging means moving file or folder from one location to another. So if you are going to drag, you will point at the file, then you will press and hold the primary button like this. Then you will move the folder to the location you feel like you should put. Now if the location is here, I'm going to release my hand from the primary button of the mouse, so the folder will now be in the new location. By the way, even in ICT, the process of releasing your hand from the mouse is what we call dropping. Now, basically, that one is what is concerning mouse. So please endeavor to like my YouTube channel, endeavor also to subscribe on my YouTube channel in such a way that in case I have uploaded any video, you can easily be notified. So thank you for giving me your time. We shall meet next time.